All right, I just need to remind everybody that you have to talk into a microphone to talk at all so that it is recorded for online. Trustee Lazikis.
Here.
Trustee Porter.
Here.
Trustee Kimmelhart.
Here.
Trustee Rosati.
Here.
Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for May 17th, 2021?
So move.
Moved by Steve, second by Paul. Further discussion?
I have one question on the trustee Shearer report. It says trustee Shearer said, and that's all. Did you say anything,
I don't know, do I?
Ernie?
I don't know. Maybe best not include it.
Okay.
He's the one who erased it.
So it's just missing, that's all.
It's just missing. Maybe I just stopped and couldn't remember what I was saying. That
Okay.
happens a lot lately.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for voucher numbers 60965 to 61041 for a total of $398,519.21?
So move.
Moved by Paul, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right. It is my pleasure to give out some recognitions for service. I'd like to start with Saxon Deck. Hi, Saxon, how are you? My pleasure to award this certification to you, a certificate of appreciation awarded to Saxon Deck in recognition of civic and meritorious service rendered to the village of East Aurora, New York, while serving in the capacity of member and leader of the Historic Preservation Commission. Dated 21st September 2020. Thank you for all your years of service. I just want everyone to remember that most of what this village does is run by the volunteers and the community members who step up and take charge, take ownership of their process. So thank you so much for everything you've done. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Michael Croft up here, please. Thank It is my pleasure to award the certificate of appreciation to Michael Croft in recognition of civic and meritorious service rendered to the village of East Aurora, New York, while serving in the capacity of member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Dated September 21st, 2020. Thank you so much, Mike. The ZBA gets a lot of the behind the scenes work done. You guys really have to do your due diligence, and you always are up to the task. So thank you for everything you did. Moving to the first speakers and communications, this is your opportunity to state an issue that you have. When recognized, please raise your hand. When recognized, step up to the mic, give us your name and address, and let us know what your issue is. You'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Anybody? Anybody for the first speakers and communications? Sir.
I am Ron Clower. I'm the incoming president with the Lions Club here in East Aurora. And I think it's kind of appropriate that since you just awarded certificates to those that do community service, that I talk about the Lions Club just briefly. We are a very financially strong organization, and we have helped the community in various ways. I'll just point out one. Over the pandemic, we donated nearly $10,000 to various the food banks in the area, including the one in East Aurora. However, and that's what I came here for. We are at the point in membership where we could lose our club, and it could be disbanded, and the funds would all go to Lions Club International. So what I'm asking is just if you know someone who might be interested in community service, please talk to them about the Lions Club. I don't want to see us lose our club. I don't want to see us lose our chance to provide community service here. I happen to be new. I just moved here from Virginia. Some people ask me, why did I move to the Buffalo area from Virginia? Well, we had grandchildren up here. But anyway, I'd like to leave these brochures about our Lions Clubs. Tells you something about them. Anybody wants to pick one up, pass it to somebody else, I'd appreciate it. And like I say, we're looking for members. It's not necessary that you make all the meetings. Our meeting dates up to now has always been the same as the village days, first and third Mondays. However, projects are important and fundraisers are important, and that's what we really need help on. We even had somebody that wasn't even a member of our club showed up and helped us with our barbecue here this past Mother's Day. So we appreciate that help, but we really need more Lions Club members to work. So I'm going to leave this here, and anybody that would be interested, please see what you can do to help us. Thank you very much.
I have a quick question. How many members do you currently have, and then how many do you need to stay on the
Solvent.
Yeah.
Certification, yeah.
Well, we've got 13 members on the rolls, but what we have on the rolls and what members can really work is two different things. We have about 6 active members that do the work for the club. So, the question is, if we lose a couple members, where do we go? It's just not going to be viable. Any other questions? I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Stacy Brown. I'm actually admin over the East Aurora Facebook page. So I know some people are on the page, and we have a lot of topics that are East Aurora topics that get brought up. So it's kind of the talking place, the venting place for a lot of things going on in East Aurora. I find myself as admin representing sometimes the majority opinion or just an interested opinion with people who don't necessarily know how to go about that. But we recently had, in the past couple of weeks, it was actually shared on the Facebook page that the animal control officer had concerns coming up about dogs in parks. And it actually brought up a pretty lively discussion actually on the page about that. But I actually had a kind of a narrative I wanted to just kind of go through with research I've gone through, et cetera. A nice family outing in East Aurora. Picture beautiful sunshine, temps at 72 degrees. Family heads out the door with thoughts of which ice cream flavor will be their choice tonight. Quick walk across the village to the local ice cream shop, and everyone has their favorite. Timmy has double chocolate, Susie has mint, Dad chooses strawberry, Mom always sticks with cookie dough. Then there's Rufus and Fluffy. They have their usual vanilla in a bowl with a dog bone on top, the doggy dish. Whole family takes their dessert to the nearby park to enjoy. After ice cream, Timmy and Susie hit the playground while Mom, Dad, Rufus, and Fluffy watch from the nearby benches. A perfect evening. Now, this narrative might not fit your family exactly, but it comes pretty close to the definition of a perfect family evening for many East Aurorans. 48% of New Yorkers own a pet, according to the New York Post. And in East Aurora, it might be higher based on how many dogs can be regularly seen out and about every day. Now, neighboring towns such as West Seneca, Alma, Orchard Park all allow for the scenario, but sadly, East Aurora has an antiquated law in the books that states, and I read through the laws that I've researched. So under use of parks, it shall be unlawful for any person to do any of the following acts at any public park in the village of East Aurora. dogs, cats, other animals, to bring or keep any dog, cat, or other animals in any part of any such public park, except with written permission from the Board of Trustees from the Village of East Aurora. Yet East Aurora also has laws to prevent dangers and nuisances by dogs, such as covered in laws in animals running in large. So there's no person owning or having charge, care, or custody of any dog, whether licensed or unlicensed, shall permit such dog to be at any place in the village except upon his or her premises, unless such dog is restrained by a substantial chain or leash not exceeding 6 foot in length. The leash law, in short, the leash law. Then also New York State has laws for leashes and feces. So New York State law has all dogs must be restrained by a leash or chain, not more than 6 feet. Every dog owner must have a license attached to their collar, and it shall be the duty of each dog owner or person having possession, custody, or control of a dog to remove any feces left by his or her dog on any public park property. Now, East Aurora, on top of that, the village, which I was a little surprised at, but actually on the village page, it states it even more specifically, but East Aurora even has a law that prohibits dogs from relieving itself anywhere but on your own property, which reads, under dog control, no person owning, harboring, keeping, or having custody and control of a dog shall suffer, permit, or allow such dog to commit any nuisance by urinating or defecating on or otherwise damaging property of the public or another, which on the actual webpage specifically, it says no dog is allowed to urinate or defecate on any property, which obviously isn't possible because they had to go somewhere. So essentially that law reads that it has to be on your own property. So essentially you can't walk your dog down the sidewalk and let them go potty and pick it up, or they can't pee on a fire hydrant. Regardless of that one, which kind of caught me off guard, the concern was that we petitioned the Village of East Aurora to recognize that existing laws already effectively prohibit any adverse effects of dogs in village parks, and the law should be overturned to allow for pets to be permitted to join the family in the local parks. Now, I actually have, on top of that, and this was kind of came about quickly, and with contact of actually trustees, I was able to get the information to bring this to the board. Now, I actually live in the town, which I didn't have the ability to get someone to representing specifically a resident of the village, but I did actually start on change.org. So a website just to kind of gain signatures and interest. Was able to get a lot of signatures, mind you, not all of them are from East Aurora, but I'd like to, if someone wanted to take a copy of this, many actually are East Aurora residents. So it doesn't specify village or town residents. But there's definitely concern, mind you, there's concerns on both sides, which we can speak to too, but. Okay, or you give it to me now. Okay, maybe just for reference, if we want to see it.
So she resubmits that to you tomorrow. She has to bring it back in tomorrow, another copy, or?
Email, right? Yeah.
Well, we do the signature. This is all. Yeah, that's how change.org works, which to be honest, I wasn't sure as far as even gathering signatures. I think more so it was just a way to show interest as far as concern, because I literally took what I read, posted on change.org and let people sign essentially if they support this, which came up with as of tonight, which again, I only started on the 3rd. So it's only been really a few days, but I got 167 signatures on that at this point. But a lot of interest. And again, there's been a lot of talk. If anyone's on the East Aurora page, you can see a lot of talk going back and forth. The biggest concern, which I guess concerns me, is dog poop. Of course, that's a concern. That's against the law. The dog poop being left places, dog poop being, say in the park, and then kids are in the park, and then there's, agreed. It's against law for you to leave your dog poop. So I completely agree with that. I mean, then there's what if it's a vicious dog or loose dog? Again, there's leash laws. There's laws against vicious dog, things like that. So I feel it kind of was a little redundant. And to be honest, I was surprised. I can say myself, I didn't realize that was even the case, that was a law. I myself was this narrative. bringing my dogs, going to Rosie's and getting ice cream and walking to the park or the caboose. And then walking and say, sitting at the park and eating our ice cream. And I didn't even realize that this was, and I think a lot of people felt the same way when it was brought up on the East Oran page. But I feel like it's something that definitely, I mean, the laws this hasn't even been touched since like early 80s, and dogs in the early 80s were a much different story than they are now. I mean, people didn't spay and neuter their dog in the early 80s. So it's a little bit different how we treat our animals now. So I'd appreciate if it would be reconsidered.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Stacy. Anyone else?
Just touching on what she said, my name's Caitlin Ullery, so I recently moved into the village. I live on 172 Stone Ridge. So I completely agree with the dog stance. I know a lot of the, at least the online talk was talking about like Knox State Farm, which is right there, which is super dog friendly. But from my end of the village, I literally would have to walk an hour with my kids and my dog to get to any dog friendly park. So Warren Park, I don't think is village owned. I think that was discussed. That's town. The Sinking Ponds technically doesn't allow dogs, but there are dogs there all the time. And then obviously Hamlin Park. Yeah. So at least from a family standpoint, I have nowhere to walk my dogs and my children within easy access of the village without shoving everyone into the car and getting over there. So just as some acceptance for what she was just saying. But that's not what I was here for, but I just wanted to talk about that.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, moving on to public hearings. Can I get a motion to open the first public hearing for local law number 3 of 2021, section 104-3, amending the village code permitting other than household pets at 7:17 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia,
Second.
second by, is that Tony?
Yeah.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the public hearing is open. Do we have anybody to speak regarding this issue?
You. Yeah.
What's it? This is just to change it from 5 to 6, but it's still a public hearing, so anybody wants to speak on that part of it can, right? Yeah. So just to clarify, we had dozens of instances of people requesting chicken permits.
Yeah.
And we would do a public hearing for each one. And then former trustee Michelle Shoneman said, why don't we just make it, because we were always encouraging people to talk to their neighbors, because that's usually communications, that's key to any healthy relationship. So they ended up, we ended up changing it to, if you wanted up to 5 chickens, as long as you got all your proximate neighbors to sign off on it, you wouldn't need a public hearing. And then we found out that the state requires 6 chickens for any purchase, because they don't want people just buying 1 chick at Easter and then we're doing whatever with it when it's not cute anymore. But so this is simply our process to change the law from 5 to 6.
Yeah, that would make sense because I had to do both things. So I would agree that 6, because New York State does require you to get at least 6 chickens at any point if you're buying them, other than buying them from like someone local. So 6 chickens is definitely the way to go. Otherwise, you have to get the village board to do everything and still get signatures, I guess. So I'm here for my chickens, but I agree with
You'll
that.
have-
So I don't have to do both things next time. Well,
Perfect.
anyone else?
Thank you, Caitlin.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
No.
Wasn't sure if that was-
It's legit. Anybody else, anybody on the board have any comment on this? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:20?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia,
That was
second,
me.
oh, moved by Kristen. Sorry, these plastic shields are throwing me off a little. Second by Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Local public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing for a permit for 6 chickens at 172 Stone Ridge Court by Caitlin and Matthew Ullery at 7:20?
So move.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is now open. Caitlin, would you like to add any?
No, but I do have my petition from all my neighbors within 250 square feet.
Very
So
good. Now,
I
you
told to
said,
bring this
you
today.
said one of them was.
One of them
didn't live
lives in New
town?
Orleans for apparently half the year and he is still not returned.
Hmm.
So that was the furthest neighbor though. They're not like direct neighbors.
Mhm.
So that's the only person I
Yeah,
don't.
you
have
got them on
staying.
either side and then
Yes,
Putneys-
yeah, all the people around
Putneys
me,
and
the
Laos
entire
and
cul-de-sac,
everybody else.
and it's like 3 houses down off of the cul-de-sac is the only person that's not, so, but he's still not home, so.
All right, thank you. If you want to give that to Maureen. Anyone else want to comment on this public hearing? All right, anybody on the board want to comment on it? I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:21 PM.
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing for a site plan for 636 East Fillmore Avenue, Urban Falls LLC, adding a second floor to construct townhomes at 722?
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second by, was that Steve?
Yep.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is open at 7:20. Would anyone perhaps like to talk about this?
He's just walking around with it. Just having it going by.
Just had his own personal easel. He brings with him wherever he goes.
Did you figure this out when you did this beautiful building?
When I designed this room, I would guess probably there so the crowd and the board can see it. Sorry, Maureen. Is that what that is?
Put it in front of
Can't win.
Pete's seat.
Good evening. My name is Peter Sorgi. I'm the project attorney. And this is Lisa DiCarlo, who is the owner of Urban Falls LLC, which is the owner of the property as well as the applicant. We were before this board sometime in 2020 for a different site plan that was more of a commercial use due to changes in the market conditions and what's been going on in the world the last couple of years. We've decided to change the project. You're not going to get out of this. We decided to change the project to, they like you more than me, so you're definitely gonna be up here. Change the project to residential. And so what you're looking at there is the existing building with the second story added to it. It's gonna be 4 residential units that are gonna be owned as condominium ownership. So it's gotta have approval from the New York State Attorney General once we're done with this. The 3 of them are 1,940 square feet. One of them is 1,900 square feet. That would be the front one because that will have an outdoor patio, which is not included within it. There is no basement. We were in front of the planning commission. The planning commission did recommend in favor of 7-0. They had 3 changes which they asked for. One was that we showed the rain garden, which helps with the drainage issue. Secondly, they asked for a couple changes of trees, which we did. And third, our initial rendering showed a asphalt roof on the garages, whereas now we have a metal roof on the garage, just like the house itself or the main structure itself. This is allowed pursuant to the zoning code, did not require any variances. It's considered a conversion of an existing building to residential. And I can certainly answer any questions you may have, but Lisa has brought a sample board there so you can see that is the actual lighting. So it's very, it's not meant to illuminate that much. There are 4 garages that we are putting in here as well. So 4 garages would be here, throughout. And they're each 2-car garages, and there's room to park a car in front of those garages, all parking. The land that is not owned, that is not part of the units, will be a common area. And it kind of forms sort of a backyard place that they can all utilize. There are patios with outdoor fireplaces, which you see down there, and you will have renderings in front of you, color renderings of the building itself. So we would love to answer any questions you may have.
So the pine tree at the corner, you swap that out for a That was a visibility issue the planning commission had, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do, river birches on the corner and then do a shrub mix of, Weigelia and oakwood viburnums.
Is that to replace the burning bush and Rosa Sharon?
Great.
I thought it looked beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up looking at that ugly building all my life. And I just think it's fantastic. You know, I looked at, you know, showed my wife the pictures. And she's like, oh, yeah, buy one and move in there. It was attractive.
So the asphalt and poured concrete was replaced with pavers?
Well, the plan actually always was pavers, but we're also going to include them, so that they'll be, for each patio for all walkways. And also for the garage, for the driveway part of the garage, so.
Those will be pavers also. It'll all be drainage friendly.
Yeah, and actually, in terms of drainage, there's more green space now than there will be, even though we're building the garages, because if any of you have been back there to the right of the building, it's all concrete. I think Lisa's removed
Right.
some of it, but it
it's
was,
all coming up.
it was all there. So that will all leave, and then we'll have grass in that area as well. But they all do have, and you can see it better on your rendering, private patios with fencing around
And
them.
green space, and then they'll each have their own independent, gas fireplace and outdoor kitchen.
It looked like there was a hedge in around the patios. It was like a green area. I don't know what that was.
Whoever was building those renderings had a lot of plant options. It won't be that intrusive, but there will be, room for plantings around the
So
patio.
I
and
had
patio.
trouble seeing the heights, the fencing around the patios, it looks like, but the residences will go north-south, right? Down Riley?
Yeah.
And the garages go east-west on Fillmore.
Yes.
And they each have a patio behind them. And then the southernmost, their patio goes up against the garage building, right up against the
It
garage
just
building.
comes up, that particular unit has a great deal of privacy issues, I feel. So, and we do always, what stayed significantly important to me is still kind of maintaining an outline of the original frontage there.
Mhm.
So we'll need to close in those bays just a little bit, but they will be quite large windows. So by bringing the fencing up to the halfway point, that does give what will be the most used part of the home, the kitchen area, a little more privacy. So that was the idea with that.
That's kind of what you're
Yeah.
referring to.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, so that gives, because that's actually a large kitchen, a large window into the kitchen
Right
area.
at
So I
that
feel
corner.
like this one gives them just a little more privacy.
Nice. That's it. I mean, the thing about patio homes and condos is sometimes they give up some of the approachability of a neighborhood house, with the yard and, a porch and that kind of thing. So it's nice if it's not this impervious, wall that people can't see in, but it looks like you've done a nice job of striking that balance.
Like, and all the woods that you see in the renderings will be in the walnut wood shade and stain. The entire, main part of the building, or I'm sorry, the entire main building will be in the white block brick. This is what we selected.
Mhm.
And, the garages will be a combination of the two. The garages will be, I'm looking for a garage. Oh, so there's a step back, there's a center two. The center two kind of step back in the plan here.
Sure.
Yeah, so these will be in the brick as well. And then the two corners will be in the board pattern.
Sure.
So you're replacing from the previous plan, what was a parking lot with open grass pavers with these patios and the garages, right? So
Garages and then green, and then a natural lawn.
Yeah,
Is
and then
the-
they'll get-
With a rain garden in the center.
a little bit of rain.
Yeah.
So is the patio part also this permeable situation?
No,
Because it looked by adding the garages that you were adding a lot of.
It's all
barrier.
pavers. There's no concrete. It's all pavers.
Including the 5-foot sidewalk that goes behind
Yes.
behind the patios.
Yes.
That's also pavers. Okay, wow.
So I think, Tony, you might be right there's more impervious from this plan to the last plan, but in terms of the site as it is now to this, we have more.
So compared to
more green space.
2020 versus when this is done, it's.
I was hoping to have samples of, no, we've got samples right now.
But you will have parking all over the place. too,
Right, right.
and that's-
These are the pavers, they're from a Belgian collection, so they'll be nice and all.
Yeah, I think this is great. I just, looks really nice. I want to thank you for your flexibility in kind of managing all the planning commission suggestions. I think it's great that you took all of them on board. That's, really appreciated.
We didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
And then the lighting is all, it's all made by St. James. They're all the gas lanterns with the aged copper patina in varying sizes depending on the placement from the front entries to the back patios and the garage.
And obviously, we think this is a plan that the neighbors on Church Street would probably prefer more. There won't be the issue with the cars pulling in, potential
Right.
lights and that type of thing, because we have garages there.
Right.
And more green space around the creek. So it's a.
Yeah, you think it would be less impactful on the neighbors, the change in.
Well, it
change in
also,
plan.
because you've got the second floor, it probably blocks a lot more of the noise coming from the rink
Yeah.
across the yard as well, so.
You just have to make sure you're building those units soundproofed, so they're not the ones coming to the board complaining about the rink.
Oh,
after
that'll
they
be
move.
sound. We're gonna carry on with the cinder block, and then we're doing cinder block wall divisions and spray foam, and then we're surfacing the cinder block with the whitewashed brick faces. So
Good.
that'll be.
What's interesting is when you have to do the condo plan, which is a big document everyone gets and no one probably reads, it has to explain special risks. So for instance, if you were in a flight path, we have to say you're in a flight path. It's not here. So we'll have to disclose there's a ice rink, there's a railroad track next door, obvious things, but we still have to. What's that?
Yeah.
We are in a floodplain, we do need a floodplain development permit, which I know that our engineers talked to the village's engineer about that. It's not part of the site plan approval, but we need that before the building permit. There will be no garages, no basement because of that, which is why the garages are double, and there's also going to be some room in the attic.
Storage, yeah.
And then we're going to raise the floor, how many feet?
2.5 feet
2.5 feet, which
to
gets
get it out of the
Oh.
100-year flood.
That's the remedy to that. So the permit, I think, is in process for that.
Well, thank you for taking an eyesore and turning it into a beautiful building.
Right.
I never thought I'd see that happen.
Well, we've been excited to do something with the property, as you know, and it was a little bit of a struggle to, between the two thought processes, but I think that this will be a really great fit.
Yeah, I mean,
in the village, so.
as part of the next public hearing, I'm going to speak for maybe 20 seconds, but during that one, but I think we're 98% sure this is the plan we're going to go with. What happens though is that because it's going to be a condominium form of ownership, we technically certainly can't take contracts, but we can't even advertise. It's against the state attorney general. So what we need to do is we need to get an approval here. And then we would go and file a basic thing called the testing the waters with the attorney general. And that only takes a few weeks to turn around, and then we can market it. And if we know that there's going to be a few different, we have interest, which we really expect, we can commit to it. So I would say we're 98% sure that's going to be the plan that we're going to go with. But we, like I said, we are legally prohibited. If we had a website showing it, we would be in trouble. As Chris and Bob know. Attorney General. Yeah. So that comes next. That starts tomorrow morning if we get a vote today.
Oh, also all of the walkways, the driveway, the stairs coming down, and then that part of their part of the sidewalk, we're going to heat it. So there won't be any.
Nice.
Good. Very good. Anyone else have any questions for the applicants who are here? All right, thank you, Peter and Lisa. Anyone from the audience have anything to say during this public hearing? Anyone on the board have anything to add? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:35 PM?
So moved.
That was moved by Kristen, second by Paul.
Mhm.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing for local law number 4 of 2021 to revert the zoning of 636 East Fillmore Ave to LCR from VC, rescinding local law number 6 of 2020? Moved by Paul, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia. That's at 7:35 PM. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is now open. Would anyone like to speak on this public hearing?
Yes, Peter Sorge on behalf of the property owner Urban Falls LLC. Like I just said, what we would ask you to do is to table this and to give us, a little bit of time. As you all know, it was rezoned upon the condition that it would revert back if we did not build that plan. And again, we're 98% sure we're not going to be building that plan, but there's no certainties, as we've learned very, very well. So we would ask that you just not vote on this, not take any action tonight. We technically are opposing this for right now. No, on this. So we're just asking that this be tabled, and we feel like by the next meeting, we probably will withdraw that opposition and then go forward. And then I think we need to, we did file the deed restrictions. We need to undo those as well. But we would just ask that you just table this. And if we were fortunate enough to get the approval tonight on the rest of the project, we should know within a few weeks or a month whether or not this is going to go, because we can do our market study, which again, we cannot do until we have an approval. Thank you.
So, how long are we gonna moment for?
Yeah, I don't think there's an urgency. I would ask that you table it for a month. So we just have some time to look at it, to make sure that we have a viable project in terms of this. So I don't think there's anything that's gonna change. We're not gonna pull a building permit. Yes, sir.
Actually, it's not on tonight's agenda.
No, I know the vote is not on tonight's agenda.
No, only for the approval of your thing. The vote on the changing local law isn't on tonight's agenda. It's just a public hearing.
That's great. Okay.
Right.
So there's nothing to table.
Okay.
We're just not gonna go
I presume you
forward.
don't want to say add.
Even better.
So you don't have to oppose it.
Well,
At
technically we
this
do,
point,
and then
technically,
we'll take it away
Okay,
We're
for your
proposing it
paperwork
nicely.
you do, but okay.
for a little
But it
while.
wasn't on for vote anyway.
Any questions?
Thanks, Peter. Anybody else want to speak on this public hearing? Anybody on the board? Any motion to close the public hearing at 7:38 PM?
Someone?
Moved by Paul, second by Tony.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That public hearing is closed. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve local law number 3 of 2021, section 104-3, amending the village code permitting other than household pets?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? Excuse me. We're gonna do a roll call vote, starting with Tony,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Ernie,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Marcia.
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
I'm an aye. Unanimous, approved. Moving on to 5B. Can I get a motion to approve a permit for 6 chickens at 172 Stone Ridge Court by Caitlin and Matthew Ullery?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to consider a neg deck under the seeker for the site plan for 636 East Fillmore Ave for applicant Urban Falls LLC?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? This was referred to and recommended by the seeker committee for approval as a neg deck. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to consider approving the site plan for 636 East Fillmore Ave for applicant Urban Falls LLC?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to consider, to refer to the planning commission for a special use permit application for 391 Olean Road for Kara Adams and Jeffrey Wojcinski, the Wojo Ninja Warriors?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second,
Second.
second by Marcia. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, it's referred to the PC. Can I get a motion to approve the budget modifications for the 2020-2021 fiscal year?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second,
I got
second by Paul, further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, starting with Tony,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Ernie,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Marcia.
Aye.
Paul. I'm an aye. That's approved unanimously. Can I get a motion to consider approving a temporary use permit for Vidler's 5 and 10 to close Persons Alley for their 90th anniversary celebration?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second,
I got
second by Paul, further discussion? Anyone have any questions for the applicant over there? How you doing, fellas?
Don, I just want to say, I guess you worded it wrong. We're not asking for all the person down behind the store, the three private parking spaces. That would be it.
And you think 250 people, is that what you said?
My wild.
Have 250 all at once?
Yeah, I mean, we had 50 or 60 people at one time.
Thanks, Don.
Sorry about that, Don Vidler. No, I don't think if we had 60 or 70 people at a time under the tent, that would be a lot. I mean, there'll be people in the store, obviously. We let the county know. So, and the way things are going now, hopefully a lot of the restrictions and mandates we're under right now might not even exist then. So we should be fine with that.
And you said, I'm trying to remember, was it maybe one food vendor?
We're gonna have the guy that does our kettle corn for the store, he's gonna be there.
Okay.
And the maple syrup supplier, they're gonna be making maple cotton candy. It's good stuff if you haven't tried it. And that would be it in terms of the food vendors.
Anyone have any questions for Don? All we have is here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Did get the county approval for his.
Yeah, so as a condition, he'd require Erie County approval, so we could approve it conditionally if Steve wants to amend his motion as such.
So amended.
Paul, you want to second that amendment?
I got it.
All right, any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cliff. Thanks,
Thanks.
Don. Can I get a motion to consider approving a temporary use permit for the Toy Town Car Show Moose Lodge 360?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second,
Second.
second by Marcia. Further discussion? This one also requires Erie County approval, right? And they're saying, is there anybody from this group here? Okay, because I think they set up to 1,000 people in attendance. So we're gonna.
Usually more than that.
Yeah, but it's stretched out over a mile.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how they quantify. I can't see the
Right.
state busting a car show or anything, but.
Well, was there
Just wanna
a
make sure that-
discussion about having tickets or something to try and limit how many people come in during certain hours? Or
There was, they said that wasn't valuable.
Kind of open, everybody kind of wanders in there.
It'd be hard to totally close that off.
You can't, I just walk through my backyard on there.
Right.
So you're the troublemaker. Now we know.
Could be.
All right, so, Steve, do you want to amend it to include acquiring Erie County approval?
I will amend it to include Erie County approval.
Marcia, will you be seconding that?
Yes, second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to consider waiving the fee for the temporary use permit for the Erie County 200 Heritage Commemoration Series Pride Night at the Roycroft?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second.
Yes.
Second by Paul, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to consider approving a temporary use permit for the Erie County 200 Heritage Commemoration Series Pride Night at the Roycroft?
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to schedule a public hearing for a special use permit for 53 South Grove Street applicants Don and Karen Krempholz for a one-bedroom accessory dwelling unit for on a date of for the date for the special
July 6th.
public hearing will be July 6th.
Okay.
For July 6th, 2021.
Mm.
All right, can I get that motion?
So move.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia, further discussion. And that's just the little barn they got right behind the house across on the right, right? They want to switch it into a,
I think all the
Yeah.
houses on that street are multifamily already anyway.
yeah, they're
Agreed.
all except that
Yeah.
one. They got a shared driveway there too. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Approved, it is scheduled for July 6, 2021. Can I get a motion to consider approving a one-time implementation agreement to upgrade to the village GIS system with the Wendell Company and permitting the mayor or the clerk treasurer as his designee to sign the contract?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia. Further discussion. Tony?
There was some concern about the fact that the current GIS does not show the appropriate path for Cannery Brook, particularly as it crosses Main Street and goes by Mike D's and whatnot. I did work with Maureen and she contacted Wendell. They said they have a fix that they can put in place to do an improvement on that underlying GIS element so that it will show the appropriate location.
They could fix that layer and then the creek will come back on the other side of South Fillmore where it actually sits. How do they end up doing it that way? Is it just a computer glitch or is it just an old map that the creek used to run over there?
I assume it's something that was put in literally over 50 years ago and nobody ever looked at it. You would have thought that it would have been fixed as part of the Main Street
Project.
reconstruction and some of that documentation, but apparently it was a little difficult to get people to own it because you got to go down into the sublayers that are owned by the USGS government group. Wendell has an option to put a different sublayer on it, and we found other versions of the sublayer, so it exists. It's not like they have to do a lot of work to get it from scratch. So the primary thing from my perspective on this was, let's make sure that we've got a mechanism that kind of latches onto the existing change mechanism that says, you know, they're already responsible for doing updates for a building changing hands or, you know, different reroute of a road or something like that. Let's make sure they're aware that they have to take responsibility for funneling these kind of corrections also to the appropriate entity.
Thanks, Tony. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to consider advertising for bid for 2021 Ford Interceptor utility vehicles for the police department?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Second, speakers and communications. Anybody out there who wants to speak on something, now is your chance. Please raise your hand. You want to recognize, come up to the mic. All right. Department head report. Police Chief Shane.
Hoping to get a candidate in front of you in 2 weeks for a police officer position. We're down right currently at 14 spots filled, so trying to get going as quick as possible. As soon as that position's filled and training underway, I'll be looking for the next spot to fill. So, got an excellent candidate. We've got one more item we need from the background investigation.
Great. Thanks, Shane. DPW Chief Matt Hay.
The track was paved and topsoil work is begun around the track to transition. All items have been done.
Roads milled.
Roads are milled. We got about 3 to 4 weeks before asphalt goes down on the hours on Main Street.
but the one thing I was wondering about, would there be any way we could create a little like ramp type thing from the football gate to the track? So it's easier for people in wheelchairs and people to stroller.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I've had a lot of positive feedback on it. People are really happy. I know there was some concern, and particularly the fact that it doesn't go across the ball diamond anymore. So it's much more professional.
I think people are happy not to get cinders in their shoes anymore too.
Well, there.
so, Couple
Well,
of
we were over
upgrades.
there in our Parks Committee, Parks meeting, and Friends of the Park, Hamlet Park. We saw all kinds of people, including 2 former students of mine with their
There's
kids.
at least 15 people going around when we were there.
Yeah, and the
Every
kids
time
were,
you go by, there's a
their
handful of
kids were
people
driving
using it.
along with those Fisher Price electric vehicles and, you know, I didn't have the heart to tell them they can't have a dog in the park. Though.
But that's it. I mean, the track had grown into the point where it was 4.5 feet wide at some spots, between 4.5 and 9.5. So I know the paving company had originally said they were gonna put down a 12-foot wide path, and I talked with Matt and we worked it out to get it down to 8.5, which makes it less of a big road through the park and more of just kind of a nice jogging trail, that people can use. And people are enjoying it, they're using it, and it's just in time for summer. So thanks for expediting that, Kathy and Matt, Maureen, everybody who played a part in making sure that happened. But as far as the ramp and the gate, at the football gate there, I mean, if you put just maybe one, what are those things that keep a car from driving through there? You put one there and pave the rest of it, then a wheelchair could get through on either side, but you wouldn't have to worry about somebody going out and driving onto the park with it, right? But still get through, get into the park or get through that particular point.
Into the grassy
And they gotta pay for any damage they do, especially now that the ball field's been redone, right?
area.
Yeah, I love it, the one at the high school got stuck in the ball field. Had to pay for everything, I assume. Yeah, so what else can we do to make sure it's, I mean, we could block it at the football gate, make sure it's weird ADA compliant, and yet a car can't get through there. But then on the right side of that, right,
Mhm.
and that curb, drive over that curb, yeah.
Well, even that, but gates open for our players, they can drive in there, drive through the around the building. And be right out.
So we need a big wall around the park, you're saying?
Yeah, let's not give them too many
12 feet,
suggestions.
12-foot high.
Build a moat, you know.
All right, thanks, guys. Code enforcement officer, Liz Cassidy. You good? Village administrator, Kathy?
The update is that we're instead of starting the briefing. We're looking at still a range of starting from mid-June to end of June. Chris doesn't usually give a report, but I only say really nice. With our legal work, and pulling everyone together with the engineers. Very successful. I'm too proud so far. So with that latest positive decision, everyone is comfortable moving, continuing. Right now, the contractor is in the process of finalizing everything with the suppliers, so we know exactly when to get everything in and on site. So then you can set the actual schedule. We will do the schedule. Oh,
Is it working? There you go. So he'll do the schedule. He'll put the schedule together once he has all the information from the suppliers. And then he will, and then that'll go to the engineer, and then the engineer will look it over and consult in consultation with us, and myself and Matt. And the schedule will get approved. And once the schedule is approved, then the engineer will issue the notice to proceed, and everything should be getting underway in earnest. We have been continuously working with a lot of the property owners and parking items and issues. There is a parking map already. There's a little section on our website for January for the project. And there is a map on there that shows people where the off-street parking, what they can do, and talks about the importance of the job. And it's going to take about 100 days. And of course, when it is all done, Mayor, this was your original idea a while ago, to get a lot more parking, almost double the parking in that parking lot once we're all done with the project. So that is everything, or that's a few of the things I should say, actually, that we've been working on. So it's a lot of background work. And as soon as I have definitive dates and items from everyone that I've talked about tonight, I will send out another update to everyone.
That is something that I've heard quite a bit of feedback, concern about parking. And especially now that restaurants are more opening up, the weather is beautiful. The west end of town is the most congested as far as any kind of parking. And then what is this going to do? So I'm just hoping that residents take to walking, and that the people in the nearby streets are tolerant of, there's going to be a lot more street parking
Yeah.
in the neighborhoods.
There
And
will
I think that's going to be, it's going to be a challenge for pretty much the whole summer.
Yeah, we're trying to get creative too. One of the things we're gonna do is encourage the residents in that area to park. Instead of in the summer when they like to use their driveways, maybe they park out on the street, maybe make a point to park in the driveway if it's not a big deal for you. Also, we're talking with the business owners, encouraging them to partner up with other businesses that have underutilized parking. And Maureen and Matt had come up with a map of 6 or 7 different locations where the parking, where they had maybe 6, 8 spaces that they regularly were not using. So we married them with the businesses that had similar size number of employees. And we're encouraging them to say, hey, listen, you have 8 to 10 employees at any given time. If you can work it out with this business over here, to have your employees park over there and walk 2 blocks or 1 block or whatever it is, 3 blocks, it's minimal, right? Really, especially in the summer. That will allow any street parking closer to the business to be available to the customers of their businesses. So it's in their best interest. And I think everybody understands, even in the Benderson lot across the street, they get it that, in 100 days after this project is done, there'll be a lot more parking across the road. And so they'll have less competition for their own parking spaces that they own. So we've been talking with Ben, we met with Benderson this past week. We're looking at some different options for lots that they might be letting us use in the short term just to get through this. And like I said, we're getting creative, but we need everybody to kind of pull together and see it at the end of people get there like, all right, there was a big sinkhole. We can't just put this off. We can't avoid this. We have to do it. And when we're done, right, everybody's going to benefit. That extra parking is just going to ease the parking situation in that whole area for all the businesses.
Have we reached out to the schools? I was thinking about sort of that sort of extended parking in front of Parkdale. What used to be the front entrance to Parkdale, there's that
By the
parking there
playground.
kind of near the playground. That's relatively close to the circle.
Yeah, it would be in the summer, especially when they're not using it.
Right.
It's not a bad idea.
I think most residents and visitors and businesses, they understand, and they're gonna be patient with it. They'll understand. We don't, the village is not a shopping mall. It's not a place where you just pull up and there's a huge lot and everybody gets a spot close to where you're going. It's just, that's not how we're, for all intents and purposes, we're an urban environment now, and people need to think about, I'd have to park a couple blocks away, and maybe I walk to the, to the place I want to go to, or ride my bicycle, people have to be patient, and they have to understand that it's a small town. It's become very popular. I was in Ellicottville on Saturday. I had to park quite a ways from where we were going. You understand that that's the way it's going to be. And then eventually there's the positive of getting all this extra parking that will be there, and a beautiful parking lot that'll, better than what we have. And So
Right.
people, I think most people are reasonable and they'll be patient.
I think for the most part, people are, but there are some people, I think we've just got through the Oakwood thing and they just
Yeah.
feel like, now this summer, there's going to be something else, so it's trying some people's patience. But I totally agree with you. The more walking, biking, everything that we can do, we all need to
Yeah,
sort of pitch
Like,
in.
see, I talked to CJ at Andrew's Barber Shop, and he's like, I looked into it. He goes, and actually, all my employees except one can walk or bike here. You know, and so, and he gets it.
Right.
Clark at Barville, he gets it. So we just got to kind of get through it. It's not going to be easy, but if we work together and smart and communicate, hopefully it'll be as unobtrusive, as little pain as possible to get through to a much better place.
I mean, you go to some places in the world, like when I was in Germany, when I studied there, town, the city I was in, you walked everywhere. You didn't drive your car because there was no parking in these cities that were 600 years old. You walk. Just people have to get it out of the mindset of, I got to drive my car, I got to park somewhere, I got to, unless you're coming in from out of town, if you're fairly local, you can just try walking. It's good for you.
It's also to that same point, I think I would encourage people who are driving to be more careful and more tolerant of cyclists. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who are biking, hopefully even more. And every person who's on a bike to get someplace is taking up one less parking space. So if you can kind of reframe it in your mind from, oh, there's somebody in my road to we are sharing a road and they're helping me.
I got yelled at
That's a
yesterday.
that's a good point, right? You see the cyclist on the road and go, that might mean a parking spot's available for me because that guy took his bike.
Right. It's a little self-serving. I like to bike, but
I had an incident. I was biking in the village yesterday, and I actually had a car blow by me, and some guy yelled something at me because I thought I was far enough over. I wasn't, people get impatient.
Mhm.
They don't like bikers. They,
right.
we're in the way.
Yeah, we can all share. It's gonna, it'll be okay.
Where were we? It was Kathy, you were done. And Maureen, you were about to start. Clerk
Yeah.
Treasurer Maureen Dragus.
We're collecting taxes right now, so get your tax bills in. We do have our new drop box in front of the building. A little black box to the left-hand side when you're ready to walk in the door. You can put it in there. And our new website is now up and running. I've gotten a couple calls of minor idea changes, which we've implemented all of them. So it's going, and a lot of feedback that it's a little easier to find things. So that's good.
Thank you, Maureen. Paul?
I'm on that.
Marcia?
I had already reached out to Kathy about this, but I had received a number of inputs about the garbage cans, the trash receptacles on Main Street. And she did, in Matt's absence, find out that some of the receptacles are out for repair or something. And so that's what's causing the dearth. But apparently we're good from the police station to Olean. It's the west end of Main Street that needs to be shored up, I guess.
Yeah, actually, I was working with Jeff Stoll, and actually Matt's copied on everything, even though he was on vacation, which I hate to do, but I believe they did put out some other, not the nice decorative ones that have the sayings on it, which are fabulous. And those other ones, they had been for a long time been out, and they're supposed to come back right now. So they're picking them up tomorrow.
Oh, great.
So, so there will be more cans, more of the traditional cans out, and if we need to put even, we only have a limited number of those. We don't even, but we do have other cans that we can put out. So if it really seems necessary. And those are already out. Thank you, Matt. And we did start last year and seasonally, and we've already started the season this year where we have our DPW crews out on the weekends emptying the cans so they're not overflowing. So we are addressing it in a number of ways and hopefully as best as we can. I mean, other than putting one, I mean, it would,
On every block, yeah.
or like every few feet, it's, that would not necessarily be probably the best solution, but we But some very good efforts are being made and we are waiting on some things, which we should have resolved by tomorrow.
Thanks, Matt. That's it for me.
Kristen,
All set tonight. Thank you.
Ernie,
Also,
Steve,
All set.
Tony.
Couple of things, we did get a message over the weekend about Warren Park and some of the lacrosse activity there. I went and spoke with the gentleman who sent it in, confirmed that he has actually talked to Dave Gunner at the town because it's a town responsibility. That lacrosse setup unfortunately allows a lot of their balls to go into the
Mhm.
neighbors' yards. So part of the reason why you're seeing holes in the fences, if you will, and the brush piles and whatnot are kids trying to retrieve their activities. So I forwarded that email onto the town clerk as well. The rec department guy is on vacation, so he didn't see it. But it was one of those situations where Dave is already on top of it anyway. I just want to remind people that, you know, we've got a lot of town parks that are inside the village, like Warren and whatnot. And the only one we're directly controlling is Hamlin. We need to have people think about, you know, should I be reaching out to the town as well as the village if they have concerns like this? And, you know, in general, we continue to hear about whether it's, you know, picking up after your dog or people, you know, peeing on grass and people's fences and things. This kind of situation in the summertime, people need to be a little more neighborly, right? I know it's been a stressful year, but I'd like to encourage people to think about, you know, how are you impacting the people around you and not just your immediate problem. Especially, again, Warren Drive today, because it's been milled, is a little bit of a slalom course anyway, but it's got cars parked from end to end and it spills out into Pine Street tonight. That lacrosse is apparently hugely popular,
Yeah.
and in the process, we need more bicycles and a little less car traffic because it's definitely something that kind of overwhelms that neighborhood. The only other thing I wanted to mention in passing is I know some of my neighbors have commented that the new garbage cans are handy for getting rid of dog waste if they're walking their dogs. It's like, put it in the bag, drop it off in the garbage can, and you're ready to move on. So they appreciated the extra garbage can.
Right?
Or you can do what a lot of people do and bag it and then throw it on the ground, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
I get complaints all the time from people about that. I've had people catch people doing it in front of their house on their doorbell camera. We get footage of lady walking with the dog poop and she just dropped it right in his front yard. It's like, if you're gonna take the time to clean it up,
Find someplace
get
Yeah,
the
to
bag
complete
home.
the thought.
But the garbage cans are nice and then, yeah.
That's it for me.
All right, thanks, Tony.
Which if they're doing that on the water, the park thing, then that's a honor system too, which is, or a maintenance thing for the town.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, a concern with Hamlin Park, is
yeah.
all the kids running around and people having picnics and that kind of thing.
Mm.
Yes, it's illegal to leave your dog poop in the grass, but people do it. So enforcement wise, it might be easier to just not allow them in the park versus allow them in the park and try to catch them not cleaning up after their dog and
You know, the paths
ruining
in,
somebody's afternoon.
yeah, the paths in the park aren't that much different than the sidewalks. I mean, I can understand the grassy area being more of a concern, but, you know, it goes back to questions about, so do we want to pay for a full-time dog enforcement officer? Do we have to add $1 a year fee to pay for this? How do you want to, you know, manage the situation? I think it's hard to do without some kind of enforcement discussion.
well, you'll always have a very small percentage of people who are, you know, who don't care. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is, you know? So how do you stop people from being selfish and uncaring about others? You know, this isn't something that, you know, it'll be an age-old problem.
All right, you done, Tony?
Yes, thank you.
All right. All the things I want to talk about, we've pretty much talked about. The success of the track, And another varsity baseball team is now using the baseball field. Once again, Matt, thanks for all your hard work and your teams. I know you guys are down a little bit. How are you staffed right now? Under? How many are laborers? One laborer and three? Oh, 3 open labor positions.
Wow.
Yeesh. Indeed, it's a website for hiring. But you know what? I talk to people who own restaurants and they're like, we have to close early because we can't find enough cooks, to serve the customer, or we have to have limited seating because we can't find enough cooks to feed the people who come in. I think until the unemployment benefit changes in September, it's gonna be hard to find, people. So you guys get extra credit for getting everything accomplished that you've been doing this summer, this spring. Your
3
own
gold
parking
stars.
space at the DPW. Yeah, that's right.
Matt, can you supplement with like summer student labor or something like that? I mean, considering the circumstances now, is that something?
Oh, I mean, we haven't had people apply.
Oh,
So how's this affecting overtime?
wow.
Can you raise the amount you pay? Will that change things? Even for the temporary labor?
Mhm.
Yeah, my kids all are home from college and got jobs for the summer, and their boss thanks them every single day just for showing up. Just for showing up. They're rehabbing houses around UB. And it was like no experience required and good starting pay. And every day he's like, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Wow.
Just because it's hard to find the labor, hard to find the work. Well, thanks for everything you've done, Matt. Including those initial discussions we had when you first mentioned the parking behind Barbell. And we explored your idea of expanding it. Brilliant, brilliant. What else? Appreciate everybody's input. Marcia bringing up the Parkdale lot for the culvert project. Tony, you brought up the Bank of America lot. A lot of people bringing ideas in. We're gonna figure out how to get through it together. And like I said, everybody's got to pull together to get through it, and we'll be in a better place once it's done. We have our ribbon cutting for the municipal hall, village and town hall. It's this Saturday, and it's at 9, 10
o'clock.
10 a.m. I was gonna check. The ribbon cutting will be at 10 a.m. here, and everyone's invited. Ron, you're invited. Caitlin, love to see you there. Butch. Have it here. How exciting would that be?
A ribbon cutting for your baby.
Exciting.
Fire trucks will be here and
Right.
rescue.
Camera crews, everything a mother wants when she's delivering. And remind your friends and family and neighbors and strangers to get vaccinated. It'll put us all in a better place. We got to kind of keep pushing for that and make sure it's done. They're available pretty much everywhere at this point. So get it done, and that'll help out everybody, all of society. That's all I got. Thanks for coming. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second. Second by Paul. For the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.
I'm gonna go home.